Hey, it's Jared with State of Tech. Today we are going to take a look at photos and video that I've captured with the S21 Ultra. So this essentially is my camera review of this phone. I've had this phone since the day that it came out, and so a camera review is a little overdue from me, but I wanted to talk about it because my iPhone has always been kind of my go-to phone just because my entire family is on iOS. I use Apple computers, and so using an Android phone can sometimes be a little bit trickier to utilize within that ecosystem. But when the camera is as good as and as functional as the camera on this S21 Ultra, it really makes me lean towards wanting to use it as my primary phone because the camera is that good. Of course, iPhones have great cameras as well, but there's utility in the camera on this phone that makes it truly remarkable, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So we're going to look at some photos first, and as I talk about some of the photos, I'll kind of share some of what I experienced when utilizing this. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my gallery app here, and then switch over to album and go to camera so I could see images that were just captured with the camera here. So in lower light situations, the camera does a pretty decent job. There's this image, it's not a great image I was trying to capture, of my son and my oldest son and my youngest daughter sitting. We were waiting for our seat at a restaurant, and this was kind of a tricky image because the lighting conditions inside were really low. They're moving all over the place, and then of course it's bright outside, and so it's not a great image, but it does show the abilities of this camera and the dynamic range that it can capture, albeit some of the dynamic range is stretched a bit, as is common with Samsung phones, but nonetheless it did a pretty good job. So here's an image that I shot this image here, I think with the first telephoto lens, and my wife's out there ice skating with my 2-year-old. This was earlier, before the photo in the restaurant. And what's nice is being able to get in that close. She was clear across the ice rink. I was on the other side. If I had used a regular smartphone with even just a 2x lens or something like that, I wouldn't have been able to get an image that was this clear. I mean, yeah, when you zoom in really tight, there's some degradation. You're not getting things totally sharp. But when I zoom in quite a bit here, this is still a very usable image. Now, I went out and shot a bit with this camera, trying to just see how it performed with all of the different lens options that it has. And it's pretty cool what you can capture. I mean, this here is a nice wide shot looking over into the town that I live in up here in Montana. Here's another one, but this is as I zoom in. So as I zoom in, I'm able to get so close to things that are really so far away, and that is something that's really impressive about this, about the camera on this. I mean, this is ultra wide. This is just the standard camera. This is the first zoom, and then this is the 10x zoom. And gosh, just being able to get in that close is insane. And yeah, as I zoom in, this is not a super sharp image, but I mean, this image is really nice. And it was kind of a hazy day, so the haziness is really from the scene. Of course, food photos is something. We had a nacho night. Shooting some images. I went flying with a friend of mine, and so we have some images here I shot from up in the plane, and of course a selfie of the two of us in the plane. Some photos of the controls, and just shooting some photos and some short video clips while we were up there. And so the range that this phone offers gives you the ability to shoot pretty much anything in any situation, and that is what I absolutely love about it. So if we move over here to this video, there were these two helicopters getting ready to take off, and the video quality out of this phone is just phenomenal as well. The iPhone has always done great video, but Samsung sure has just stepped it up with their quality. And here I am zooming in, and yeah, there's a little bit of loss of quality here in the video image, but I mean, from a smartphone, this is totally usable and very acceptable when you compare it to other smartphones. So I was flying, and I was on basically almost on my own on this plane. There was very few people on this plane, maybe less than a dozen total passengers, and I was trying to shoot, like, I don't know, maybe a little bit more creative of an image. Scrolling down here a little bit, always taking selfies with my kids quite often, just like spending time with them. We've got an image here of my daughter. We went on a walk last month, I think. It was cold out, but the sun was out, and we wanted to go out on a walk, and got a photo of the dog and a selfie of me because the sun was out and it hadn't been out for a while. Scrolling down a bit further, there was one weird instance where for some reason the phone was doing something weird with the white balance, and I haven't been able to replicate this problem. Maybe I'd restarted the phone after this and haven't had the problem since, but there was a weird and several photos where I got these like insanely blue photos, so I don't know what happened there. This image series here really shows the capability of this phone. I mean, look at this image. That's a really nice image with the exception of the power lines going across my shot. Another image from another angle, and then when I zoom in, I mean, man, that is a nice image. Just very usable, very beautiful image. I love it, and I love being able to capture images like that with this phone. Otherwise, it's just not something that you're going to easily be able to do. And as I scroll down here, we've got some older images. I think maybe some of these down here came in from the old phone when I did copy over from my last Samsung phone, so we're not going to look at those. But going all the way back to about right here, I believe this was the first photo that I took with it, was just a selfie just to see, because Samsung phones notoriously make selfies look kind of fake or blurry. I don't know, they're just not super sharp, and so I'm always wanting to test it out. And this is not a super sharp image, but that was the very first one that I tried, and they have seemed to get a little bit better. I mean, this one is much better image. And let's see if there's anything else that we can look at. Let's see, photo, we went axe throwing. So there's lots of examples of images in here that I've captured since getting this phone. The main things are this phone has a variety of lenses that allows you to capture things that are going on, whether they're super close to you or really far away, and you're still going to get a usable image. Now, that utility is something that I typically would still have to bring a camera around, because I want images, I want to be able to get in far on something, get in close to something that's far away and capture it, and it's just really challenging to do that with a lot of the smartphones on the market. Even though they are getting 2x, 2.5x zoom, that's great, but most things are still significantly further away. 2x zoom for a lot of smartphones is maybe 50 millimeters if you're lucky, and so that's still pretty wide angle and not getting you super close to your subject. So this phone is definitely worth it if camera is the primary goal for you. If the most important thing in a smartphone is camera and having flexibility in your camera and the module that comes on it, there really is nothing that beats the S21 Ultra right now that I've been able to use. I think it's a fantastic phone. It's very snappy. The UI is great. Everything is just great about the phone. Battery life is phenomenal, but the camera is just very exceptional and trumps most of the other cameras that are out there, even the iPhone's camera, because of the flexibility that it has. So if you have any questions about this smartphone, definitely let me know down in the comments section. You can also jump over to our Discord channel and we'll continue the conversation over there. There's a link to that down in the description below. If you haven't picked up an S21 Ultra yet, there's a link in the description. Clicking on that link takes you to Amazon. If you purchase it there, it helps support our channel here, and all that is much appreciated. So that's going to do it for today's video. Thanks so much, and hope to see you back in the next one. Take care.